Welcome to today's episode of Jedi Alliance. Today we're talking about the biggest news from E3, George Lucas's legacy, and your fan-submitted questions, so stick with us.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Jedi Alliance.
I sliced through it. Welcome to today's episode of Jedi Alliance, a celebration of the greatest saga ever told, and there is so much saga to keep talking about. I am one of your hosts, the internet's Mark Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark Donica, joined as always by the Chewbacca to my... No, he is Han Solo, I'm Chewbacca, because I'm the weird furry one.
Come on.
Mr. John Rocha.
Hey, hello everybody. I'm happy to be back. Let's talk some Star Wars. Mark, let's get it on.
Yeah, I mean, there's too much news.
We're talking about George Lucas today. We're talking about so many things.
Yes, George Lucas announced his retirement officially. Everybody said it was kind of rumored. He was like, maybe I'll do a small project here or there, but he announced officially his retirement at the AFI speech, at the AFI conducting, I suppose, which is a fun way to put that for John Williams. And we'll get into that. But before we get into all that, let's start off with news from the HoloNet. So this week is E3. If you're a big gamer like me, or kind of a gamer like John, you're really excited at all of the announcements that are going on presently. EA had their press conference yesterday. They are the licensor of the Star Wars franchise, and they announced their future. They had a really cool sizzle reel that we're going to be playing a bit for you. We're going to talk over it as well. But it shows a look at some projects that we knew about, some projects that we didn't know about. So why don't we take a quick look at that when we can. There's
This is live show.
Live show. It's pretty great. There's a really there's some cool stuff that we're gonna see in it, and some stuff that we didn't see in it about that implied different brand involvement, different company involvement that have different. So here's the bane of your existence.
Best spin.
And that's why we're super happy to have both Motive Studios and Criterion contributing in a significant
So now there are
way.
2 studios working on Battlefront-related projects. We just saw VR. There is a 3rd studio that got announced with it, which is Criterion. And for those of you who know Criterion, you'll know that they're a racing game developer primarily. They do the Burnout franchise. I think they did one of the newest Need for Speeds. Respawn Entertainment, as you're seeing now, they've done Titanfall. They're working on a 3rd-person action game, and as we're seeing now, there's going to be some lightsaber action. That's Stig Asmussen. He directed God of War 3. He's built up a huge career for himself. Galaxy of Heroes is a fun game that I think people don't give too much credit, because you can pull together heroes from all eras of Star Wars and play a fun turn-based battle. There's some new stuff from the new movies. There's a lot of excellent stuff in this package. Oh, that sweet Rancor. I also like its art style.
Yeah.
Ongoing. The Old Republic, not a lot of people give it too much credit, but BioWare has stuck with it so much. It's still one of the strongest MMOs in a world where MMOs might not necessarily be around for that much longer. Everything goes free to play. BioWare has so many more stories that they do want to tell, so I figure in that universe or in a standalone game, that's the Old Republic 3, who knows. We finally got confirmation of the Visceral project. Here's Amy Hennig, and we see for the first time some footage of the project in just a second, but it's just really short tech demo footage. I think my favorite part is the fact that Doug Chang is involved personally with the project.
Yeah.
And here's the first look right here. Presumably it's Tatooine, Jakku, we don't know. Looks absolutely gorgeous. And Jade Raymond, she was the producer of the original Assassin's Creed up at Ubisoft, is helping maintain all of these teams. Absolutely huge news. Everything up until 2018. And beyond, no official dates on the Respawn project. An amazing look.
So cool.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So I had mentioned Criterion. They're working on a speeder mode for virtual reality in Battlefront.
Oh, man.
So one of the leading developers in racing games is going to be working on Battlefront.
God, it's going to be amazing to see what they can do with that. And if you get really engrossed in that, because even in the smaller levels of VR, your mind is blown away by what they can do with just a cardboard little glasses and $13 pair of cardboard glasses and your phone. It's amazing what you can do. So imagine a high-end thing like this, how deep and detailed they can be. I'm so looking forward to that. My choice is the Respawn one. The Respawn
third-person action game. They know their stuff.
That's the thing. They have such a great track record. And for me, as a visitor to gaming, right? I'm not the hardcore gamer that you are, Mark, or that many of the people here at Popcorn Talk or AfterBuzz are. I need to see stuff that I'm like super into to give it a shot because of the time constraints of my life. And this one looks like right up my alley. It's something that I would absolutely dedicate some time to and figure out. Plus, with their track record, I know it's going to be a quality game.
I totally agree with you there. There has been rumors of a visceral game for years. We finally got actual confirmation, so it was kind of a non-story. Something interesting is that the folks at DICE announced more Battlefield content. They said the quote was, "We've been listening to your concerns." So they didn't say a single player campaign.
Right.
They didn't say it, which is the top announcement, which everybody wants John Boyega to make the announcement of because he was the one. He was complaining about it on Twitter.
Right.
So they said there's going to be sequel trilogy content. It was not said whether or not it would be Battlefront 2 or in addition to this current Battlefront. But we wait and see. We've got a whole bunch of Star Wars stuff to talk about, a whole bunch of Star Wars games to play. Until then, what is your dream game that you would want from this announcement? So you're interested in the Respawn one?
I am.
Third-person action game.
Yeah, it's
what sort of a thing?
Well, it's also because it's set in a different time in the Star Wars universe, and I've said this numerous times on the show. Like, to me, it's about I want to explore other areas, other times in the Star Wars universe, right? This is what I like to explore. The Old Republic stuff is really amazing. It is so chock full of stuff to explore. And it doesn't have to be canon. It's still fun for those of us who love the Old Republic and love seeing how darker it was, seeing how harder the life was of the Old Republic, you know? And through those different eyes, I think I would love to see a game that explores that even deeper, something like Assassin's Creed or something like Uncharted, something along that vein in the Star Wars universe would be so exquisite. Just from what we saw from the visceral game shot of him walking out, of that character walking out and seeing the Star Destroyer and seeing the
Imperial banners.
all that stuff, seeing the ships flying above, you're just like, that's what I want. That's what I want, that kind of deep stuff. Deep detail applied to the Old Republic. It would be so much fun to see that.
Everybody talks about the Old Republic, including myself. I like that time period as well. I want the time period in between the Old Republic and the prequels.
Right.
If it's 1,000 generations, what's 500 generations ago?
Yeah,
you know, good. Straight in the middle, see what's going on. Totally. And knowing the track record of Amy Hennig, who put Uncharted on the map, which is a really weird pun that I didn't intend. So it looks like that game, if anything, will be a more exploratory, story-based, story-heavy game with some action elements. Stig Asmussen, God of War 3 was absolutely huge, amazing set pieces, and thrilling action. So we may just get a balls-to-the-wall action game where you're a Jedi along the lines of Force Unleashed, but something canon, maybe a rebooting of the Force Unleashed, where that is actually canon. Who knows? A whole bunch of possibilities.
In one of my other podcasts that's currently on hiatus right now, Cast of Characters, we interviewed Todd Stashwick, who's one of the writers on this visceral game with Amy Hennig. Of course, he's an actor and he's done 12 Monkeys now, but like, he talked to us. He's involved in the writing process of this game, and he talked to us and told us about what's involved and what the rumors are, the rumors aren't, like which ones might or might not be true. And he was fantastic about laying out what they're trying to go for. It's not Battlefront. It's completely something else. And the way he described it just made it so much more exciting. And so I'm so interested to see what they do with it.
They have so many different audiences for the same product that they could pull that. It could just just be, and if Criterion wasn't doing the speeder thing, I would say just give me a pod racing remake, because that game was awesome.
Yep.
There's so many different realms that they could visit, and we're excited to see them all.
Definitely.
So make sure to stay tuned to EA's YouTube page. There's going to be a lot more stuff this week from E3. I'm trying to get in, so make sure you follow your boy, because I might be able to get some stuff for the network. Moving on, Ryan Johnson has checked in recently on Instagram. He released it. We can talk about it. We can show it. It's not a rumor. All it is, it's a simple robe, presumably Luke's robe.
Yes.
Hung up with the boom, some audio equipment. He's talking about how the principal photography is almost completed.
Yeah.
And the rumor is that they recreated the planet Achto, which is what they were shooting on Skellig Michael, inside the Pinewood Studios.
Yeah.
So there's presumably a lot more to that planet than meets the eye.
Yeah.
What do you think we're going to see under the surface?
Well, that's a great question. What do you mean under the surface of the planet?
Of the planet.
Oh, Lord.
Because
caves, I would imagine caves that explore, and maybe some old Jedi relics, things of that nature. I imagine Luke is, I think there was a lot of rumors that came out before Force Awakens came out, about Luke is protecting old Jedi relics, like really important Jedi relics. And the fact that Claudia Gray wrote about that in Bloodline, that him and Ben, before he became Kylo Ren, were going through different spots in the universe and we're looking at old relics. It's certainly possible that something that is supposed to be quote-unquote reawoken, he was guarding that and for the right time. And so certainly I think in the caves below there will be relics of that sort that will really like blow everybody's mind.
Indiana Jones-esque relics, things that belong in a museum of that nature. I would like to see ornate stone temples, ornate stone temple work, like we saw last week. We were looking all around the world at all the different set pieces that could be, thanks to the natural beauty of our world. Why not invoke some of that? One of my favorite aesthetics is from Avatar: The Last Airbender. There was a temple that was under a cliff, and all of the buildings were upside down but functional, and it was just beautiful, and something to that aesthetic I think would be absolutely awesome.
I think you're right, Mark. I mean, because you see in the Rebels there were a lot of temples in Rebels. They've started to explore going back to old temples, going back to old times, and so why wouldn't we see temples that would last through decades, through histories, through generations,
especially underground,
Luke is protecting,
with little water to erode.
Absolutely.
I figure there's and also a lot of the temples we've been seeing, both Sith and Jedi, are underground. So either have to be brought up or have stayed. It could be it could be a lot of things.
I'd like Luke to have been in a dead end. One of my favorite parts about Knights of the Old Republic is that it's a journey through different planets, and it's universe wide of just maps laid on different planets where you have to get different bits and pieces to find out where you have to go in the universe to find what you want. Imagine if Luke has been tracking down certain pieces of evidence or certain pieces of something to find where he wants to go, and right now the only thing that can help him is another person, like her being there. And her being there, and maybe just the lightsaber or something sets something off that he didn't have before, so he can continue on his journey with her. I don't think anything's really on the planet except maybe one thing. I think that's just a stop on the way to where he was originally planning to go.
Interesting. It harkens back, Steven, you should watch some of the last episodes of Rebels, because Darth Maul, uses Ezra, the main character, in sort of invoking the rule of two in order to enter the Sith temple, where you need two people to raise one doorway, close another, etc., etc. So it's a similar thing, and I think it follows with that idea of it's like they rhyme. So that would work.
Steven, watch Rebels. Steven.
Going in the complete opposite direction of the galaxy, later this month we are getting the Lego Star Wars Freemaker Adventures, and we got a premiere trailer, which we're going to take a look at in just a second, but it features Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine, as well as some of our original characters and some lore that Lego stuff usually uses canon stuff to play with, and it's not necessarily actual canon.
Yeah.
But there's some interesting stuff in here that I would like to see, if at all, brought into it or utilized in another space so that it is canon.
Right.
So, Steven, if you would be an absolute dear, cue up that trailer so that we can give it a view. And we'll talk over it like the schmucks we are.
The Kyber saber was the very first lightsaber, an impressive weapon to
Look at that
hide
thing.
the potential danger of the Kyber saber. The
So,
blade was
we know
smashed to
that
pieces.
Kyber saber or Kyber crystals are used to form lightsabers, but that was a lightsaber made completely out of a long crystal, which
Emperor Palpatine.
didn't even think about.
Hence the power of it.
Yes.
Was so beyond any regular lightsaber.
And the idea of this is they're trying to find all of the pieces before the Emperor does.
Yeah. But it's got the right kind of humor too, you know, that you're looking for in a show like this with Lego.
And having such a young kid as the lead, awesome. And I love that moment.
Yeah.
Super tiny, but just Vader seeing a battle droid, pretty funny.
Yeah.
Looks like we might be visiting some old planets too. I thought that was Fallujah.
Yes, Maz Kanata.
Yes.
Jabba the Hutt.
That was. I don't think that was Jabba. That was
probably or something like that.
That was voiced by the same guy who does Master Shake.
Oh,
I forget his name. But absolutely love his voice. And if he's going to be a Hutt, can't think of a better way to do it.
No doubt.
So June 20th, we're going to be seeing the Freemaker Adventures. And we saw Chewie, we saw presumably Leia, because we heard the line, "You're my only hope."
Right.
What is the silliest situation do you want to see with our known characters? Because we got some silly stuff.
I would imagine them. What is Dagobah going down Dagobah and in the swamp and getting involved with stuff in the swamp and slipping in the swamp, what have you, playing around with that kind of stuff. I'm sure that's
Constant,
the
like
silliness
Marx Brothers-esque pratfalls.
Yes, with
All right.
with random animals showing up out of the water or out of the woods that they've or the forest rather they've got there, and it would be fun to see something like that. Or even if they're gonna, because you know Endor and the Ewoks seem perfectly made to be a part of this.
Yeah,
don't you think?
And if this takes place in between episodes 5 and 6, then the Empire already has a presence there, starting
Yeah.
to build their stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could see some Ewoks.
What about you?
I like that. I've gone on record before saying that I think our boy Jar Jar needs some love. Needs some way to hold on. I said silly, by the way. I said silly. Needs a way to redeem himself. It wouldn't be on this show. I would want to.
Although he fits perfectly on the show.
Totally.
Yeah.
I Gungans. I want to see maybe a really awesome war chief or something of that nature. Maybe not necessarily Jar Jar, but let's get some Gungans. Let's go back to Naboo. Maybe we get a little bit of Captain Phasma as a little girl.
Oh, that'd
who
be great.
knows? I mean, and that's not necessarily, again, that's not canon, but you could just see her seeing the Emperor fly by and go, that dude's really cool. I like his ship. I'm gonna make armor out of it someday. So it's something really silly, tongue in cheek with some characters that we haven't seen.
Did we not see Luke?
We didn't see Luke.
And we didn't see Han Solo?
Didn't see Han Solo.
We saw
just
Chewie. We saw Lando.
Well, because it's in between 5 and 6, so he's frozen.
That's right, he's frozen. So that could be funny, right? They could play around with that, right? Slipping on the carbonite. I mean, I don't know. There's any things. All things are possible if they're gonna do Lego, and we would accept it because Lego does such a great job of revering and making fun of the property whenever they do their shows like this, like Droid Tales, which I am such a huge champion of. You guys have heard me talk about it many times.
Maybe we should do a Droid Tales exploratory
viewing?
episode.
Sure.
Yeah, let's. Yeah,
I'm down with that.
I'd be down for that too.
It's so
I
brilliant.
Just have to find them all. I mean, that wasn't even a joke. Just literally, we have to find them all. You probably have them all on VHS.
Not on VHS, but I have them.
They're in
If
my
you know
possession.
what I mean.
All right,
But
so
it looks great. It looks great. I'm looking forward to it. I already set my DVR as soon as I read
June
the article.
20th.
June 20th. Yeah.
June 30th, we've got Lego The Force Awakens coming out on consoles.
Yeah.
Which is going to be fun. I have to play that really fast. Actually, no, wait, crap. I'm going to be out of town. Okay. Anyway, either way. So, yeah, a whole bunch of Lego Star Wars coming, and we're all excited about it. Speaking of excited, John Williams was given the Lifetime Achievement from the American Film Institute over this past week, and it has come out that he is going to be involved in Star Wars Episode 8, Indiana Jones 5, and Ready Player One. The reason why he wanted to stick around for Star Wars Episode 8, he told Kathleen Kennedy, "Of course I want to do it. Of course I I couldn't see myself not doing it. But he just didn't want anybody else writing music for Daisy Ridley. And Rey's theme, we've got on record, is one of, if not the best theme from the new movies. So the fact that John Williams is like, no, I have to see this through. It's my theme. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yep.
But bringing up, we thought that 7 was going to be his last film. Can anybody replace him in this universe?
I mean, the answer is no. And honestly, I mean, there are so many great composers out there now working, especially now because of the advent of superhero and sci-fi. You know, it's becoming bigger and bigger now in our pop culture and our lexicon. So, okay, who are these composers? Giacchino's fantastic. Hans Zimmer has really established himself in that universe. But what are we looking for? There's no one that has that right combination, in my opinion, that John Williams does. John Williams has a way of making mainstream music that still conveys a level of sophistication and intelligence and complexity in his composition, yet so simple and beautiful. Like when he was describing his theme about Rey on the Force Awakens DVD on the special features, you're just lost in how he's describing it, and then when it plays, you get it. It's akin to watching, if anybody's ever seen Amadeus, when Salieri is describing Amadeus's music, it's very similar to what you feel when you're hearing John Williams talk about his music. The description of it all, you just get lost in how beautiful it is and in how layered it is and how intelligent the connection of the notes and of the instruments are to create this theme, and the idea of the progression through the song of what he's trying to convey emotionally about the character's journey or about what we're seeing on screen, a battle, a journey in physically to a planet or what have you. It's amazing. And I don't know a composer, in my opinion, that necessarily checks all the boxes that he does to do exactly what he does for so many properties.
And unless we know if he's training an understudy or not, that would be the only person. Because even, as you mentioned, Giacchino and Hans Zimmer, they're amazing.
Yes, of course.
All of the themes that they make, everything, I'd say up and the first Star Trek movie.
The first Star Trek movie is a fantastic soundtrack.
Yeah.
And the Man of Steel soundtrack from Hans Zimmer is so great.
Essentially everything that they do is like, oh, cool, we trust them.
Yeah.
But there's something about John Williams that's like a completely different level.
Yeah.
Well, and we don't know what it is. Maybe it's just how jaded of a culture we have become. Right. But there is such complexity in the simplicity of all of his work. And as you mentioned, the Amadeus poll is a great thing, because everybody can listen to the music and understand it and feel it.
Right.
But then when you have somebody say, well, this is why, then you go, well, okay, well, now, if you put it that way, I totally understand what you're saying, what you're talking about. So beyond thrilled, especially Ready Player One kind of was and wasn't a surprise, because it's another Spielberg project. But
plus we connect so deeply with everyone else you can have issues with, right? But unscathed coming out of Star Wars and Indiana Jones franchises, John Williams is untouched. He's untouched. There is no negativity. He really is untouchable, right? There's no negativity attached to John Williams. When he's announced to come back, nobody goes, oh, again? Yeah. No, everyone is always like, oh, God, thank God, because he's so great at it, you know?
And the one thing I'd say about Hans Zimmer is he does put his stamp on something, so... Yes, that's something that I'm a little concerned of, because he would seem like the next in line to me. Yeah. Also, just with relation to that brand, the brand and the people associated with the brand, et cetera, et cetera. Because when he took over the Pirates franchise from Klaus Badelt, Klaus's music from the first soundtrack, it's one of the few soundtracks aside from the John Williams stuff that I would listen to backwards and forwards, because it was such an adventure. And then when Hans took it over, you're like, oh, this is a Hans Zimmer soundtrack too. And then he started changing some of the themes to a little bit closer to what what has his stamp on it. So I would be a little bit afraid of that if he took over the Star Wars franchise, but I want John Williams at least to finish out the sequel trilogy, and maybe at least hand off some of Indiana Jones 5 to somebody else. Ready Player One, I have no idea what to expect, but it's going to be, I think I mean, it's not our. You can hear more about that on a show that hasn't officially been announced yet from the Popcorn Talk Network. But the Ready Player One looks like it's going to be an amazing project, especially for anybody who's read the book.
And Mark, it would fit if he generationally handed it off to someone else.
I agree.
Just like Kasdan is handing off the writing duties of Han Solo to his son. Just like we saw in the special features, Warwick Davis having his daughter appear in the Star Wars. Like it just.
And one of the modelers too was working with his son.
Exactly.
Too. Yeah.
And
that's what this whole franchise is about. That's what this whole sequel trilogy is about. Exactly. Is about getting the next generation ready. And John Williams is sort of the last stalwart member. And even with George Lucas handing it off to Kathleen Kennedy and now retiring, where he's barely even a somebody who just sort of gives his ideas,
right?
You know, so consultant. Yeah. So the fact that we haven't heard anything about John Williams training or passing it off, or if there was a student of his that he ever taught that was like, no, this person, they're going to be taking over Star Wars. I figure this would be the movie where it will be co-written, co-created with somebody. Certainly possible. More on that, and we'll tell you all about it on Jedi Alliance. So let's get to our main topic today. At the AFI announcement, or at the AFI Awards with John Williams, George Lucas announced that he is officially retired from filmmaking. And without George, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
And people lambast him, complain about him, about some of his projects outside of Star Wars, inside of Star Wars. Without the man's a visionary.
Yes, he is.
The man has a mind that is so unique and so adventurous, and I mean this in the positive way. Don't you twist my words. Childlike with wonder and imagination.
Yes.
That gave us this amazing world that we celebrate every week. There's a graphic. We're here every week celebrating it because of what spouted from this man's mind. And I mean, we got cars.
Yeah.
We got a whole bunch of stuff and a bunch of merchandise that I didn't even want to bring because it's all IG-88 all the time.
That's right.
We don't get a killer robot without George Lucas. So, John, what? I mean, we don't have to necessarily stick in the realm of Star Wars because he gave us two amazing franchises at the very least, with Indiana Jones, Lucasfilm in general. What do you take away from the career? It's a big question.
Yeah.
The career of George Lucas.
Well, it's like you said, there's so many projects inside and outside of Star Wars that he had his hands on. You know, just within Star Wars, it's not just Star Wars. It was Clone Wars. He had his fingerprints on things like that. So, you know, he was intimately involved after the debacle of that holiday special in so many things with Star Wars. And so, yes, you're right. Everything that we're doing a show because of him. There are multiple people doing shows because of him. It's come back because of him. People have their childhoods enriched for generations over and over and over again because of the work he did with Star Wars. But outside of Star Wars, there are a couple of missteps with Howard the Duck and what have you. But THX 1138 is still a fantastically interesting, exploratory, sci-fi, dystopian film, futuristic film that is based on something he created when he was in college. So he already had these ideas to explore the parameters of sci-fi, the parameters of the world within us. And then you see something like American Graffiti, which is a fantastic snapshot.
Complete departure.
Yeah, complete departure, and a fantastic snapshot of a time in America. Americana, in essence, now, looking back in the 50s and 60s, this whole idea, it was more innocent. Yeah, there was danger, there was the bad people, there was the good people, but there was something so simple and beautiful and pure in the fact that you have Charles Martin Smith trying to find that blonde. You know, you have Harrison Ford, you have these crew of people that understand they're on the precipice of moving on to the next stage of their lives, and they're enjoying this time at this juncture like their youth. And it's so much fun to see. Ron Howard, Cindy Williams, Harrison Ford. You see all of them, and Richard Dreyfuss. It's Richard Dreyfuss who's trying to find the blonde,
yes.
I think. And so, those two nerds, I get them mixed up. But those kinds of things. But he did such great work. And then he has 117 writing projects. Yeah. So it's like Lucas has been involved. He's a director, you could say a bit spotty, but there's so much work that he's involved in, so much stuff he's produced, the Indiana Jones stuff. It's just so great what he's had his fingers in. And so for those of us of a certain generation, he was, along with Spielberg, a real symbol of mainstream filmmaking and of joy for us. Joy, childlike joy, going back to a time when everything was an adventure and you could turn your adulting brain off and responsibility brain off and just lose yourself in his work and really and just have fun again, being a kid again.
I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm of the second generation
Yes.
of that. Didn't grow up with American Graffiti,
Right.
but that's one of those movies that you see.
Yes.
Indiana Jones, I would say, no, Star Wars has a bigger spot in my heart, but Indiana Jones is like right next to it. Just a pure adventure is what George Lucas meant to a lot of us. And I mean, he helped produce that. That was also Steven Spielberg. So whenever the two of them got together, it was just magic. Yeah. And some people made poo-poo Indiana Jones 4, but there's a lot of great adventure in that, a lot of great family in that. The bike chase from in the college was a lot of fun. And TX 1138, first movie that he wrote and directed. Excuse me, a little too burpy today. If you haven't seen that, that's linchpin in understanding this mind that we got. I was a little bit surprised to find out that Episode 3 was the last movie that he had directed. Yeah. And that being so long ago.
He got so much stuff for it, man. Why? At some point, you hit that point where why do you want to go back into it if they're just going to tear you to pieces? Just sit back, kind of let it die out for a little bit. He focused on Clone Wars, a couple other series. He's working on that, and so it was. I think the '90s were a tough time all around for him with the prequels in 2000. Yeah, and all that jazz coming into the prequels, and then seeing where he goes. So it was. I think it was smart to take a stop. Just stop. Take a step back and kind of see what you want to do next. And he's still been producing and writing and stuff, so he's
executive
still
producing.
Active. Yeah.
The last movie that he worked on, Strange Magic, which was an animated musical based on A Midsummer Night's Dream. Yeah. I remember still being a little bit, I would say maybe not bewildered in a positive way, of seeing the trailer and going, George Lucas decided to work on this. There must be some sort of a message that he wants to get out of this, because Midsummer Night's Dream is a Shakespearean comedy. Yeah. There's a lot of fun that can be had. There's a huge cast of characters. Yeah. Big musical. It just kind of came and went really quietly. Also, Red Tails. I thought he had directed that because of how attached he was to the promotion of it. Yeah. But that just means that he was passionate about the project. Right. Is THX 1138 your favorite non-Indiana Jones, non-Star Wars project of his?
No. I would, let's see, because you've got to look at his executive producing stuff, right? He did Labyrinth. He did Willow. You did Tucker, The Man in His Dreams. It was one of my favorite Jeff Bridges films, Tucker, The Man in His Dreams. He did the Indiana Jones Chronicles, which were on, the Young and Indiana Jones Chronicles, which were on ABC for a long time. Those kinds of things that he really got involved in. But for me, I would have to say, no, it's tough to say. I mean, because like outside of it, I would have to say American Graffiti is probably my favorite because it's such a joyful film, man. And I'm such a fan of the 50s and 60s music because it was just about and being happy about what's happening and being happy about love, being happy about the future, being happy about where you're at in your life. And it's very pure and innocent music. And it's before all the tumult of the 60s starts to happen with the social protest movements in the 70s very much so. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's very necessary stuff that happened in our country's history. But when you go back and watch American Graffiti, you feel that innocence of the time, And
American Graffiti is one of the greatest coming of age stories of all time. Yeah, and an excellent picture of our country
and a great soundtrack.
Very, very good soundtrack. I'm gonna be a little cheap here.
Sure.
So for those of you playing the Jedi Alliance Disneyland drinking game.
Hello.
I'm gonna say it's got to be Captain EO for me. It's got to be because that's everything. Because that's him being super creative. That's the talent of Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And Joe Pesci.
What?
He said Joe Pesci's the bad guy?
No, Joe Pesci's Moonwalker.
Oh, Moonwalker.
Captain EO is the one at Disneyland.
I'm getting old, people.
That's okay.
All right, Captain EO. Oh, yes, the one at Disneyland.
The one at Disneyland that was replaced recently with the Star Wars, really good Star Wars like sizzle reel.
Yes.
But that whole experience was, along with Star Tours, because Tomorrowland was my favorite land as a kid, but that was one of the things that I just could not go a trip without going to see. And when they brought it back after after Michael's untimely passing, I was just like, this is so good. A new generation gets to see this campiness. It's got it wasn't touched up at all, so it's really, really kitschy. The puppets' mouths and like their actions don't match up. The Harryhausen-esque like claymation special effects,
right,
where the robot turned into a standing keyboard, which was just weird. But that whole experience was just something that he was like, hey, wouldn't it be fun?
Yeah.
And that's something that I think we can take away from his legacy, is he always came from it as, hey, wouldn't it be fun if this happened? Not, hey, we could, I mean, there probably was some meetings that were like, hey, you know what could make a lot of money, but it's that purity and that childlike wonder that George has always had, that sort of it kept him going, it kept us going, and despite us going, you know what, George, that might be a little bit too weird, we were still there, strapped in, day one, ready to see what this man was ready to give. And I hope while he's done directing, maybe there's a project here or there that he comes back for and has himself a good time.
Well, I think you and I, as lovers of wrestling, we would like to say, chant one more movie. One more movie. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible, and I think although he says he's retired, if the right project came along, it would be nice to see him step in. I was really sad to hear that, because I wanted him to keep going, or at least stay in contention for stuff at some point, because you guys have known I pitch that Star Wars network. Every Star Wars show I'm on, I pitch that network, and I would love to see him have one more shot at directing something to kind of, for all of us to be like, yeah, this is what it was. But I mean, you can argue that a lot of the Star Wars films that we do love are not directed by him. You know, Empire Strikes Back is not his.
Yeah.
He didn't direct that movie. Some people, you know, so it's just like that kind of thing. But you still want to see him have a little bit of resolution and closure with the property and with the franchise, so that we can, all of us, say thank you in some way, in some form, and not just going to the movies, not just buying them. You know, we can be upset about the CG, we can be upset about all the different things that he tried to do with the project, but he's an artist. And this is what artists do. They create, they take chances, they mess with their properties. Yeah, you may not hate it, you may hate it with the Greedo stuff, all that jazz, but whatever, he's an artist, and that's his job, that's what he loves to do. And if you haven't created anything, if you haven't put your heart and soul into something, you don't understand. You don't really understand what it's like to create this thing and then have people kind of crap on it after all the work you've done. You have to take your hits, but that's part of it. And so people sometimes have a negative feeling about him now, and which I don't understand.
I don't understand either.
People make mistakes, or people follow their visions, their dreams for whatever they're at in their lives. It doesn't erase what they've done before, nor should it.
No.
You know, and so I hope he has one more shot at doing something Star Wars-esque in the Star Wars universe that lets us all just kind of be like, sorry, let's move on. I
would love for there to be an anthology film where they just say, you know what, George, go for it.
Yeah,
go for it. Whether it's theatrical, whether it's a series, whether it's like a network special or something. It's George, just go. Yeah. It's your last. Give your fans a goodbye from the Star Wars universe. Go for it. Absolutely. Shoot for the stars, because Disney has the money to support it.
Sure.
So yeah,
and so does he.
And so does he. Yes. not to say he's not doing very well, so he had to quit. No, the man's pretty fine and well off.
He's doing just fine.
Yes. So thank you very much, Mr. George Lucas. Yeah. We wouldn't be here without you. Happy trails. We hope that we get to see your name in a project soon. Absolutely. Despite not being a director anymore. But this is the path we weave. So why don't we move on to our next segment, Mind Probe. That's where you go to our Facebook page at Facebook/Jedi Alliance, Facebook.com/Jedi Alliance. You got to put that .com in there, or else it's not the internet. Go to Facebook.com/Jedi Alliance. We post this Mind Probe question every couple of weeks. It's where you leave us questions about the Star Wars universe, serious questions, lore questions, funny questions, silly questions, personal preferences. No matter what, we want to hear from you, the viewer. So give us a thumbs up, and we'll be asking your questions like we're going to be doing right now. John, which one would you like to start with?
Let's go with Michael Beltran.
All right.
He asks us, the Trinity of Han, Luke, and Leia survived the original trilogy. Do you think Rey, Poe, and Finn will as well?
Well, I mean, originally Poe wasn't.
Yes.
So I don't think we initially were going to meet what the, quote, Trinity was going to be until the second movie. But I think Poe, if anybody, we might lose Poe. Maybe by episode 9.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I do not think we're gonna be missing Rey or Finn.
Yeah.
Because those two are beyond a shadow of a doubt the two good guy stars of the movie, with Kylo Ren being the third. Maybe Kylo Ren is the third member of this trilogy, of this trinity, and Poe's just like, hey, I'm here too. So I would say Poe. We'll probably lose General Hux. Maybe Captain Phasma, maybe. But in terms of these three, if anybody, it's going to be Poe. Yeah. If it's not Poe, then it's not going to be any of the other two.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Poe. I think we saw if they're going to repeat some of the same beats of the first trilogy, or the original trilogy rather, you know, Han Solo at the end of Strikes Back is in Carbonite. So it's certainly possible that something could happen to Poe where he could possibly die either at the end of 8 or at the end of 9 and sacrifice for everyone. And I think it would be so ballsy and gutsy of Disney and the Star Wars people, and Lucasfilm rather, to create that possibility that he dies in sacrifice to save the rebellion or to save the rebels.
And I think it's in his nature too. He's trying to be hero.
Yes.
So I think if there's anybody open to making that ultimate sacrifice, it'd be him, which would push Finn to be possibly a little bit more selfless than we've seen him. Yeah. But I to that point though, Finn did make a big sacrifice and is incapacitated.
Right.
Similarly to how Han was at the end of episode 5.
Sure.
At the end of episode 7.
Right.
So yeah, there is that. Yeah, good question, Michael. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
I'll pull one of mine. Sarah Jane asks, how much Vader will be enough Vader in Rogue One? There is no confirmation that Vader is in Rogue One. There's a presumption because we have because we have the Death Star involved. There's no Death Star without Darth Vader. So
yes.
If the rumors are true, because they're rumors, how much Vader will be enough?
Or leaked rumors. I have
no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there can ever be enough Vader. We love Vader so much. But I think Disney is realizing, or the people in charge at Disney of the Star Wars property and franchise are realizing that maybe we've had a little too much Vader because they're pulling the comic. And they're kind of...
It's not just ending. They're
it's ending, but they're like, you know what I'm saying? They could have kept it going, but then they just recently announced they're killing it. They're ending it. And to me, I think what they're trying to do is like pull everything back and kind of let us rediscover the character again, or miss the character for a little bit, so that when he shows up again, and he will show up in Rogue One, that's my personal opinion, not in any way sanctioned by any...
That's an opinion.
By any Augusta buddy.
It's a good opinion.
Yes. I think
it's a strong opinion.
It feels very strong. When he does show up, it will have the power and the majesty that we want it to have. And we want Vader to... I mean, if Vader's going to be the real Vader that we remember from the first one, he's going to be a pretty evil person in Rogue One. So he's got to have that kind of vibe to him. And I think what the other media have done is to round out Vader a little bit and make him feel a little more like you can see his point of view, like you can explain his evil. And I think that's not what they necessarily want if they want to set him up in Rogue One. So to me, I think you can't have too much Vader, but you've got to know how to use Vader correctly. That's what I would say.
I think it's going to be like the shark in Jaws, going to be alluded to, going to be the thought in the back of everybody's mind the entire time, and it might essentially be the equivalent of the final boss, where, yes, they do steal the plans, but somebody's got to pay the price.
Yes.
And it might be an unfortunate end to our heroes before the ultimate quote-unquote happy ending, where, I mean, I guess the rebellion got the information and that's fine, but some bad stuff had to happen in order for that to happen.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Sarah.
Yes.
We got time for one more. You want to ask yours or do you want to do mine?
Yeah, let's do mine.
Okay.
All right. Sebastian Fila asks, what do you think about a special edition of the prequels, but with today's CGI? At least they will look good. I don't know what that mean. At least they will look. They look good when I saw them.
They look pretty good.
What are you looking for, Sebastian?
Nice fix of the
Thank
Sebastian.
you.
I mean, I think the prequel should be subject to special editions as the original trilogy are too. But if that was George's ultimate vision, then this would be, and we were just talking about his legacy, then any additions or subtractions made would be made it would sacrifice what his vision for the story was. So it maybe not a special edition of each movie, but if there was like I mentioned at Disneyland, they have a sizzle reel of all of the for 1 through 6 in order to prep you for episode 7.
Yeah.
And the stuff that they took from the prequels was all well used and made me want to go back and watch the prequels again because these are the characters that I should be excited about. Yeah. So if they make a version like that for television where it's the first half of the program is what you need from episodes 1 through 3, and then the second half is what you need from episodes 4 through 6, and then episodes 7, 8, and 9. So if it was something like that, I could get behind it, but I think we need to preserve it as it is. If folks want to preserve the original trilogy, if they want to see the original versions of that, then we should have the same standard for the prequels.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the problem, you can clean it up all you want, put all the CGI you want on the prequels. The problem wasn't the CGI. The problem is the combination of the practical effects, of missing practical effects with the combination of CGI. So no matter how you cleaned it up, it still wouldn't solve the problem of needing to see the practical effects that we love so much about the original trilogy that I felt was missing in the prequel trilogies.
And I will say also because
this is a beautiful trilogy already. It's beautiful to look at already.
Yeah, so, and changing Puppet Yoda from episode 1 to digital Yoda, that's a special edition, and it improved it immensely. It didn't look so out of place. Yeah. And the Yoda effect was maintained throughout the entire trilogy as that's Yoda. Yeah. Whereas in the 4, 5, or 5 and 6, that's Yoda. Yeah. So we got to see the character evolve and change over time. So I don't. We technically already got one, and I'm fine with how it turned out.
I told him we already got one. Yes.
So we move from there to our Duel of the Fates. Last week's question, well, let me just say, the question that we asked last week was very awesome, but the question that we answered last week, go back and watch it. Go to our Facebook page. We talked about what the natural beauty of the world could offer as shooting locations for Star Wars, and we got amazing pictures from so many different countries. Go take a look at it. Do yourself a favor. But the question that we asked last week was, do you want Star Wars to create its own network for original content, or do you think the Netflix deal creates an opportunity for hosting such material? So the answer was a landslide for its own network, as well as making a Disney network that is Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, which is an even more excellent idea. Yeah. So that way you have it's essentially your WWE, WCW, ECW, where all of the diehards are just sticking in the ECW section.
Exactly.
That was for him and I. If anybody else got that, thank you. For the people who didn't get that, I'm sorry. Back to your regularly scheduled Star Wars. So yes, it won in a landslide. Some of our favorite answers were as follows. Jason Squishy Garcia says, if anything, they would probably add a service to their Disney.go programming, more like an add-on inside the app that is specifically for Star Wars. But because of the broad range that Netflix has, I don't see them deviating from them as a distributor of any Disney product. That's good.
Yeah,
it's a good answer. Do you want to take the next one?
Sure. Albert Justice Albanese says, I think that a Star Wars network would be amazing because of the limitless content. Agreed. Both new and old, they could be streamed. However, because there isn't a lot of official Star Wars films and series that could be broadcast on the network, I would love to see Disney break off and have their own network. There, we can not only get unlimited amounts of Star Wars films, shows, and documentaries, but we would also get access to Marvel and Disney films and shows as well. Which is basically what you said earlier.
Yes.
So I like this.
And we got that answer from several folks.
Yes.
Including Stanton Cruz, who writes, keep in mind that the main reason Disney stock is not $130 plus per share, which is huge, at the time is because of the loss of the ESPN cable subscribers, which they also own. They have yet to crack the code on how to create a successful streaming network. And if you can't beat them, join them mentality might be exactly what Disney needs to pull its shares out of the slump until they can figure out a comprehensive solution. I really do not want another subscription bill, but a Disney streaming network dedicated to Star Wars, Marvel, and other Disney content might be something I could get interested in.
Yeah.
I figure that's everybody's main goal. Because the Disney Movies Anywhere is an okay service right now.
Yes.
It's okay. The fact that you can access special features through it is a start.
Right.
But I think that could be their testing for a more long-standing network.
Yeah, and don't use ESPN as a barometer, because what they've done in destroying that network recently over the last 5 years, it's unfortunate. They've gone away from their program that they should have had. So there's a reason they're losing cable subscribers, because of some of the changes that they've made, and they're trying to recoup them. And they seem to be digging in a deeper hole. I don't think Star Wars, Disney, and Marvel would do that. I think they know exactly what their public would want, and they've done a great job revitalizing the franchise over the last 3 years. So to me, it would be something that we could have a lot of faith and trust in.
I agree with that 100%. So this week's question: with all of the big E3 announcements, is the best way to engross yourself in the digital world of Star Wars with a lightsaber or with a blaster? We want to hear from you. What is your favorite thing to play as in the Star Wars universe? Are you a Battlefronter? Are you a Kyle Katarn, where you do a little bit of both? Or do you just love the lightsaber of it all? Let us know. We're going to post this question tomorrow on our Facebook page. We're talking about it a lot. You should join, so that way you don't got to listen to my dumb face talk about it every week, because you'll just be in the know. You'll have all the information. Come on. That is facebook.com/Jedi Alliance. Give us a like. Join in the conversation. We will read your answer on the air. That's another show from us, Mr. John
Yes,
Rocha.
thank you. Yes. Such good times. Had a great time. This is so much fun. And thanks. That's what I would say.
What do you got coming up?
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on. You guys can always follow me at The Rocha Says, ROCHA. There's a big announcement coming up, probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. More than one announcement coming up, which I'm very, very happy about. And you can always find me there. You'll see the shows I'm hosting or co-hosting, like this show, or the shows I'm a guest on, which I am very happy to always come on to other people's shows and talk about stuff. Because if there's one thing I'm not short of, it's an opinion. So thanks so much, everybody, for listening and watching. And I appreciate all your comments on Twitter and on Instagram.
Especially about how not fat you are.
Yes, thank you, please.
That was really random when that came.
Well,
got a little sass
I had a
in
few
there.
comments that day, and it was a little hurtful. So
Don't worry about it. We're behind you.
Thank you.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Mark Donica. Keep an eye on it. I might be going to E3. I might also be posting from the Jedi Alliance Twitter account, which is at Jedi_Alliance. Also, some fun announcements that might be coming up from us as well here and our sister network, AfterBuzz TV. So make sure to follow us at The Popcorn Talk on Twitter. And thank you for watching and or listening to Jedi Alliance. You can visit popcorntalknetwork.com to find a nice list of all of the past episodes of Jedi Alliance and links to both YouTube and iTunes. Please also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Jedi Alliance for all of the us-related news. This has been Jedi Alliance on the Popcorn Talk Network. We talk movies. Thank you for listening, because many Bothans died to bring us this information.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.